Hi, my name is Matt Rollins. I'm back in Singapore, and I'm looking at change in this clip, looking at the challenge of the world that we live in. A lot of times it's easy to kind of focus on the here and now and to think that we're unique. And as we look at change, there's the temptation to think that dealing with change is what makes us unique. There's a quote that I like that kind of summarizes the modern environment that we live in, and it says the only constant is change. And that really does kind of summarize the management consultants, the strategists, and kind of the popular management message. The only challenge with that is we're not taking the bigger view, and the bigger view is that quote is literally from Heraclitus from 500 BC. And when we step back from this momentary kind of emotional draw that pulls us into the changes that we face, and we are facing them, humanity has been dealing with change for as long as we have a record of his conversations and the challenges that he's been confronted with. We have quotes from Aristotle, we have Greeks, the Romans, the challenges that go into the process. So change is a part of life. Change is an aspect of life. And it's an important part that we have to be able to deal with, but we're not alone in having to deal with it. When we look at change, I try to break it down. I try to understand it. I try to get to what the essence of something is. I like the word radical in the sense that the word radical has a meaning in it that means to get to the root of something. So what would it mean to get to the roots of change? What are we talking about? Well, the first thought that comes to me is that as we look at change, we're really talking about movement. So I went down to Orchard Road, I took my camera, and I took just some video clips of people and transportation and life on Orchard Road, and it's kind of our busy commercial section here in Singapore. And as you'll see, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of cars going in different directions. There's people coming and going and movement all around us. But the funny thing is, in the midst of that movement, you don't see people freaking out. You don't see people walking around going, "Oh no, the world is changing." Why? Because strictly speaking, movement isn't change. It includes change, but it's not the only aspect of change. Change is not just movement. Movement is not just change, but change includes movement. So we can say, okay, movement is a part of change, but it's not the primary part that we're dealing with. Another aspect of change is growth and developmental. And that's an important part of change. Hopefully a vital part of it, because we're building the quality of life. We're building a maturity, a capacity, which is an important part of it. But the hard part about, strictly speaking, growth is it can only happen so fast. Growth can't be scripted in the sense of you can't make growth happen faster. Growth is an organic process. Our bodies grow. Life, the natural world, teaches us that there's an order and a structure to growth that is healthy, that when we provide the right ingredients, growth will happen. It's an important part of life. So when we're really talking about change, it includes growth, but it's not always, strictly speaking, the essence of what we're talking about change in the modern day world. So when we're talking about change, and again, I'm taking this from the human perspective, the HR, the people side skills set of this. The definition that I came to, the essence of it, was simply this. When we're talking about change, what we're talking about is anything that takes us outside of our comfort zone. For me, that's really the essence of when someone says the world is changing, what they're really saying is, I'm uncomfortable. When someone is kind of freaked out by change, what they're really saying is, I'm outside my comfort zone. And then when we talk about our comfort zone, what we're talking about is how we relate to each other, We're talking about how we get a task done. And then we're also talking about how we view ourselves. And those are the kind of the three elements of change that are vital to be able to understand. Because, there's many different illustrations of this. A parent raising a child. If you treat a child like he's always 2 years old, you're going to have some huge relational problems. Why? Because you're not changing. Why? Because a child, you have to relate to a child differently. That's a normal, healthy aspect of change. When my son was turning 13, I sat down with him. And I said to him, I said, son, I've never been a father before. And I know you've never been a son before. This is kind of a new season for us. And I know you're 13. And I don't know how to be the father of a 13-year-old. I know that sounds funny because all kids assume that parents know what they're doing. But I just, in my own way of relating, I needed to connect with him and say, let's figure out how I relate to you as a 13-year-old. Now he's 27. Now I'm learning to relate to him in a different way. So when we're dealing with change, as we deal with these aspects in a changing world, what we're really dealing with is the speed of change, or the rate at which we feel uncomfortable, which really is the essence, I think, of what we're talking about today. So as we view change, I think the key to remember is different people are going to view change in different ways. Or another way of saying it is, different situations are going to bring people out of their comfort zones in different ways. I'm going to feel uncomfortable in this way. You're going to feel uncomfortable in that way. So as we deal with change, let's be reminded that what we're really dealing with is our comfort zones. Those aspects of life where we feel comfortable, where we're comfortable in how things work, how we relate, and who we are. And that really is the change that we're confronted with.